Call the roll.
Trustee Davis.
Here.
Trustee Aiello.
Here.
Trustee Bolfus.
Here.
Trustee Taglia.
Here.
Trustee Case. Trustee Bullwinkle. Here. President Colleton.
Here. And Chief Pavlicek, can you lead us in the pledge tonight? Thank you. Could all remain standing. Trustee Taglia, could you please lead us in a prayer?
Certainly. Our Heavenly Father, will thou be pleased to grant that this meeting, thus begun in order, be conducted in peace and closed in harmony. Amen.
Item 3 on our agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia,
I'll move to approve the agenda.
can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Trustee Aiello,
Second.
questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Aiello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
President Colleton.
Yes. Item 4. All right, if I make a mistake on the names, I completely apologize. I did so well with the Chiefs the first time he came out here. Recognition of Jeff Wilhoit and Blaze Clarendon. Successful completion of the 1-year probationary period and permanent appointment as firefighter paramedics for the Villa Park Fire Department. Chief?
Say a couple words. Do I need to sign in? I'm pleased to recognize 2 firefighter paramedics tonight. They've been with our department for about 1 year. They both completed their probationary period. Both guys have completed the fire apparatus engineer, part of the state fire marshal's responsibilities, the hazmat operations, and fire service vehicle operator. Blaze Clarendon, where's Blaze? Blaze, come on up here. Blaze received a bachelor's degree in management from Illinois State University and currently resides in Aurora. Come on up here. His family, they're in the back there somewhere. They've flown in from Pennsylvania and California for this very special occasion. So they're here tonight to join us for this, wherever you're at. Over here, over here. All right, Jeff Wilhoit. Jeff, come on up. And like I said, Jeff Wilhoit, same thing. He completed fire apparatus engineer as well as hazmat operations and vehicle machinery operations with the state fire marshal. He also serves as one of our CPR instructors and advanced cardiac life support instructor for the fire department. Jeff currently serves in the Army National Guard and has been awarded 17 distinguished medals, including the Purple Heart. He has spent 18 months in Iraq and 13 months in Afghanistan. And currently he serves in the National Guard 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks in the summer. Jeff is also here with his family. He resides in Naperville with his wife Katie and their daughters Ellie and Gracie. And as a fire chief, these are 2 guys that I am so proud of. I remember when I was their age, going through all of this stuff, and it was very involved, very tough. But these are 2 great guys, and if we can continue this procedure that we do with our testing and hire guys like this, we'll be in good shape for a long, long time. So I'm very proud of them. I'm going to pin the badge on Blaze, and I'm going to have Jeff's wife come on up and place the badge on him. What the badge is they had a candidate badge when they first started. When they come off of probation, they take that badge off and they get a full-fledged badge. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Congratulations, welcome aboard, and I thank you for your family's support. That's a tremendous achievement to have your family come from so far away, and also to have a huge support system behind you. So thank you very much, and you've got a huge support system here to back you up as well, coming out for your first day. That's great. Thank you, gentlemen. Item 5, one more. Item 5, presentation of the Elks Club Enrique Camarena Award to Officer Kevin Connor. For those of you who don't know, if you want to start a neighborhood watch, Kevin is your officer to start the neighborhood watch up as well.
I'd like to make a presentation. Good evening. The Elks Enrique Camerini Award was established in 1988 to recognize and honor law enforcement officers who have made a significant contribution in the field of drug prevention and who has exemplified Agent Camerini's belief that one person can make a difference. Special Agent Enrique Camerini was a DEA agent that was tortured and killed in 1985 while investigating drug trafficking into the United States. His death was the start of the Red Ribbon campaign that we celebrate each year during October in his honor. However, it also serves as a reminder to all of us about the dangers of substance abuse. Each year, every Elks Lodge across the country is asked to nominate a law enforcement officer who has made a significant contribution in the field of drug prevention and to the community. This year's winner of the Illinois Elks Association Enrique Camerini Award was submitted by Elmhurst Elks Lodge 1531 and its officer Kevin Connor of the Villa Park Police Department. The common theme from the letters of recommendation that were received is that Officer Kevin Connor is dedicated to Villa Park middle school students and their families. He provides guidance, education, seminars, a good ear, and most of all, his heart and soul. Officer Kevin Connor's name and supporting documentation was submitted to the Elks National Drug Awareness Program to be entered into the Elks National Enrique Camerini Award Contest. Officer Kevin Connor finished in the top 3 in the nation for the Elks National Enrique Camerini Award. And at this time, and on behalf of the directors of the Elks National Drug Awareness Program and the Elks, I would like to present Officer Kevin Connor this award for his work in drug prevention and his community.
Enrique Camarena was an American hero. He died, he gave his life doing something he believed in. For me to be given an award dedicated to his memory, there's no higher honor as far as I'm concerned. I want to thank the Elmhurst Elks Lodge 1531, the entire Illinois Elks Association for giving me this award. I also want to thank the entire village board, Manager Keener, President Cullerton, Chief Pavlicek, for allowing me to continue to do the work that I do in the schools. It's often said that police work is a team effort. We are fortunate, I am fortunate to have one of the best teams in the world to work with the other 40 officers of the Villa Park Police Department. I want to thank you.
Item 6, proclamation recognizing the 20th anniversary of the court-appointed special advocates of DuPage County. Whereas all Americans share a personal responsibility for the safety, security, and well-being of children in our families, neighborhoods, and communities. And whereas court-appointed special advocates of DuPage County recruits, trains, and supports volunteer citizens to advocate for the best interests of abused, neglected, and dependent children in DuPage County's juvenile court system. And whereas CASA of DuPage County volunteers work tirelessly to ensure that every child is placed in a safe, permanent, and nurturing home. And whereas CASA is the only organization in DuPage County providing court-ordered advocacy to 100% of the youth at no cost to taxpayers or the families involved. And whereas CASA of DuPage is funded solely through grants, contributions, and special events, and whereas CASA of DuPage is recognized for training more than 800 volunteer advocates over 20 years of dedicated service and serving as the voice of more than 1,450 children who have found themselves, through no fault of their own, in the juvenile court system of DuPage County. And whereas locally, we support the services offered by CASA of DuPage County through Village of Villa Park Community Volunteer CASAs who make a difference in the lives of the children they serve, many of whom also reside in our community. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Thomas Cullerton, Village President of Villa Park, do hereby extend congratulations to CASA of DuPage County for 20 years of service to the 18th Judicial Circuit Court and encourage citizens to recognize and reach out to those who may be affected by child abuse in order to help ensure that all DuPage County children may live free of abuse, abandonment, and neglect. Item 7, proclamation designating April 26, 2013 as Arbor Day in Villa Park, and one more also recognizing today as Earth Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed that a special day be set aside for planting trees to be known as Arbor Day, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed around the world and is celebrated on the last Friday in April in the state of Illinois, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas for the 28th year in a row, Villa Park has been designated as a Tree City USA, and whereas Villa Park will celebrate Arbor Day with a tree planting ceremony on April 26, 2013, therefore I, Thomas Cullerton, Village President of Villa Park, proclaim April 26th as Arbor Day in Villa Park. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations. We got a lot of these tonight, sorry. Proclamation recognizing Earth Day in Villa Park. Whereas the global community now faces extraordinary challenges such as environmental degradation, climate change, food and water shortages, and global health issues. And whereas all people, regardless of race, gender, income, or geography, have a moral right to a healthy, sustainable environment, and whereas it is understood that the citizens of the global community must step forward and take action to create positive environmental change to combat the aforementioned global challenges. And whereas a sustainable environment can be achieved on the individual level through educational efforts, public policy, and consumer activism campaigns. And whereas it is necessary to broaden and diversify the environmental movement to achieve maximum success. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Thomas Cullerton, Village President of Villa Park, hereby pledge this Earth Day, April 22nd, 2013, to support environmental initiatives in the Village of Villa Park and to encourage others to undertake similar action. Now it's on to one of my favorite people, Carol Marcus. Proclamation recognizing May 2013 as National Preservation Month. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. Whereas See, Save, Celebrate is the theme for National Preservation Month 2013, co-sponsored by the Villa Park Historical Preservation Commission and the National Trust for Historical Preservation. And therefore, I, Thomas Cullerton, President of the Village of Villa Park, to proclaim May 2013 as National Preservation Month, and call upon the people of Villa Park to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing participating in this special observance. And now we will go on to our presentation of our historic awards by the Villa Park Historical Preservation Commission.
Thank you very much. It gives me great honor to present 3 awards this year. The first one for historic preservation goes to Stephen and Catherine Greenbauer. They received a historic preservation plaque for their decorative concrete block bungalow style home that was built in 1911. The large front porch is an attractive feature. Situated in the Ardmore subdivision of 1910, it is located at 36 East Highland Avenue. It is named the Eisel House for the first owner. The original lot was an acre of land. When their home was built, there were very few homes in that area. In fact, I did some research on this, and it was 1910 was the only year that they had the excursion train coming from Chicago to purchase the acre of land. So, thank you. The second award I like to present is the Sears Catalog Home. Russell and Donna Pillar received a Sears Catalog Home plaque for their attractive crescent model home located at 106 East Adams Street. It is part of the 1926 Robinson's Madison Street Ardmore subdivision. Built in 1928, it sits prominently on its landscape lot. An attractive rear addition was carefully planned to reflect the original architecture, keeping it in the proper scale with attention to detail. And finally, the Historic Landmark Award. Ben Bensky and Claire Parkinson received a historic landmark plaque for their large 2-story American four-square style house that was built in 1919. Situated in the Ardmore subdivision, it is located at 332 South Cornell Avenue. It is named the Grammer House for its first owner. Jesse Grammer owned Grammer's confectionery store at Ardmore Avenue in Park, which later became Al's Smoke Shop. His wife Nettie typed water bills for the DuPage Waterworks Company, a supplier of water in the early family of Villa Park. The company water tower was located on a neighboring lot. Very convenient. Walk to work, type water bills, and Charles Heisen also built this house. And that's it.
Can you, Carol, up there, I know we have which one was the first house, which one was the second, and which one was the third?
Okay, the first one is, Katie, want to point to your house?
The one on the top.
Yeah. And the second one is the yellow one. And the last one is the Sears house over there.
Fantastic.
Okay. The present owners and caretakers are commended for their contributions to the community for the preservation and maintenance of these important structures that link the past with the future of Villa Park. These buildings are significant to the history and development of the Village of Villa Park and contribute to its character and heritage. Thank you very much.
And you want to present them with the awards? Have them come on up and get the awards?
Sure. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, that's wonderful.
I know.
Well, thanks so much.
in real quick. We're putting one person in real fast from the Salvation Army. Sue Linden, if you can speak fast before we get to the rest of the agenda, I would appreciate it.
Okay, my name is Sue Linden. I'm with the Salvation Army, and Hosanna had invited me here this evening just to share a little bit of information about our new summer day program. The reason I say it's new, however, we've been in business for the past 35 years with our day camp program. It's new because we've gone from 3 days to 5 days with the opportunity for extended morning care and after program care. So we've designed the program where parents can pick the days that they want. They're not locked into any particular week, which kind of makes it convenient for them. It starts June 10th and it runs through July 26th. And we have a variety of programming. The cost is $22 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then there's an extra fee involved if they want their child to stay in the morning early from 7:30 to 9, or again after the program from 3 to 5:30. This includes a field trip weekly. It includes all the activities, recreation, all the sports, music. It also has a computer component and a reading component, so the children are also involved in that, so they don't miss out between the summer months of not learning what they've not lost, losing what they've learned, you know, in the winter throughout the school year. So that's really all I have to say about the summer day camp program. I'm just hoping that there are people that would like to participate in it. It's open for children ages 4 through 12. And we also have opportunities if any organization or any business would like to make a donation, we'll be happy to give them recognition on the back of the t-shirts. So,
And where is the Salvation Army located that this will be occurring?
the Salvation Army is located on Summit Avenue, just south of Roosevelt Road. So, our primary service area is Villa Park and Oak Brook Terrace and Lombard. We try to work with these communities as much as possible for our emergency assistance program and our food pantry program.
You also have a wonderful food pantry and a great drop-off center right there on Summit Avenue.
That's right. Are there any questions? No? Okay, thank you for allowing me to be here this evening.
Thank you, Sue. All right, we will go to item 10. Consider a resolution adopting the Village of Villa Park amended fund balance net position policy. Manager Keener. Oh, that's true. Before we go into that, I was going to ask Manager Keener to actually speak to some of the flooding that occurred this week, what our responses were, what the different departments did, and how we moved on essentially Wednesday night going into Thursday morning. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, I'd like to give some background and some facts before I kind of explain what we did as a team. In my weekly report, I wanted to express my sincere gratitude to our staff and elected officials for doing a number of things, and let me kind of go through what we've done. According to our rain gauge here in Villa Park at the Village, we received 9.35 inches of rain within 24 hours. So we activated our EOC, which is our Emergency Operations Center, Thursday morning, and we relocated it, or located, if you will, in the Police Department training room upstairs. The activation and operation of the EOC went very well, and again, I want to congratulate our staff for a job well done. I'm very proud of what they accomplished, and I believe a recent EOC training event really paid off for our staff. The Salt Creek Sanitary Sewer Treatment Facility did not lose power, but it was certainly maxed out, well over 23 million gallons. Our Villa Park Police Department received approximately 173 dispatch calls during the storm event, called in 4 CERTs, which is the Citizens Police Academy, and called in 5 explorers. We made modifications to the PD schedules, and unfortunately, we lost 2 squad vehicles in the flood event. One a newer model and one an older model with 85,000 miles. The newer model had the engine seized up, unfortunately. Our Villa Park Fire Department received 59 dispatch calls. We used 12 firefighters, of which 4 were used for water rescue. And our firefighters performed many home-by-home safety and wellness checks, in other words, door by door. Our Villa Park Community Development took charge of the on-site damage assessments. There are approximately 553 homes which were inundated with water in 25 businesses. So when CD oversaw the on-site damage assessments, what that really means is we had Director Grill and the EOC overseeing 2 individuals going down each street and surveying the homes for damage, one driving, one taking notes, to basically log in all the damaged homes for reporting purposes for FEMA and disaster response. Our Villa Park Public Works received 106 calls for sewer backups, 85 calls for street flooding, and 27 calls for flooding in rear yards. Our Villa Park McDonald's donated food and drinks for our staff during the operation of the EOC, and additionally Red Speed donated food for our staff to closure of the EOC. And obviously their donations are greatly appreciated. And that basically means that none of us had to leave our seats, our computers, our phones to obtain food for the folks. It was brought in and donated, and we kept rolling along. What we did from the EOC, we issued Nixle emails, if you will, or text to cell phones. We issued a reverse 911 message, which we haven't done for years. We issued multiple press releases, and we issued multiple constant contact emails to about 3,100 individuals throughout the day. And because of that, we received multiple compliments and thank yous for doing so. We updated our website almost immediately and changed around some hot buttons and created a page so you could click on a hot button, go to the page, and you knew exactly what was taking place. I believe we issued like 3 additional press releases in order so you could see how things were flowing, and that's not a pun for flooding, but the pages were very informative, and we had 16 roadway locations which were closed on Thursday due to obviously flooding, and the flooding dissipated later on Friday, and we re-inspected them the next day, and I think we ended up with three roadways that we had difficulty with. And based upon our analysis of the village storm and discussions with President Cullerton, the village actually revised its emergency declaration from emergency to disaster Friday. What we also did is we arranged for 2 special pickups from Roy Strom, one that occurred last Saturday, starting at 7 in the morning and probably did not stop until 5 or 5:30. And then the 27th, there'll be another special pickup for the entire village. It's starting at 7 a.m. and lasting until it's done. Roy Strom brought in 5 trucks and crew. They're going to bring in more next Saturday. They picked up 95 tons of debris on Saturday alone. And obviously, they'll pick up more this coming Saturday. And that's good. I recommend to the citizens, just put it out now, so you don't miss Saturday. By chance, if your route is not picked up yet this week, they'll take some of it and leave some for Saturday. But we'll get you. Not going to forget about you. Sandbags are going to be available all week long here at Home Avenue and up by our Salt Dome on Ardmore. Like I said, we received many compliments about the press releases, Nixles. We actually deactivated our EOC, I believe Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, late in the afternoon. DuPage County deactivated their EOC at 4:30 on April 19th. Let me explain a little bit about the EOC. Excuse me just for a minute. I activated the EOC very early Thursday morning. I think I got up around 2 a.m., hit the streets about 3:30, and my wife and I gathered material out of storm drains for a lot of hours, activated the EOC, and when you activate the EOC, the department heads immediately come to the police department and go upstairs in the training room. Upstairs in the training room, we have one live TV feed where we had the Weather Channel on. We had numerous phones with numerous lines. We had computers. I brought my laptop in that was wireless. We communicated with our IT manager that couldn't make it into work due to flooding. I brought in my executive assistant, which typed up the press releases, but thanks to Bob Booting and Bob Pavlicek, did a wonderful job. Chief Rakosnik did a wonderful job. Patrick, great job. Of course, Vitas did a fantastic job. Very proud of all the staff. We manned, each of us had a phone or our cell phones. We broke out, Bob, the box with how many phones? 60. We had 60 cell phones that we passed out to staff so we could communicate. Bob was the master of ceremony in the EOC, and everyone accepted commands from Bob. And Patrick oversaw the disaster assessment. Vitas was taking care of the satellite and keeping the street crews going along with Greg Gola, which I missed. Greg did a really good job for being a newbie in the EOC, but we'll have to elevate his rank shortly. Got a long summer, but did an outstanding job. Actually used the whiteboards. I don't think we've ever used the whiteboards before, but due to some of the training that we had, we put some phone numbers up, some folks' names, our resources were on the whiteboard. And so we kept on going, and we'd go back to the resources. And one of the resources, obviously, was ComEd. We didn't know if we were going to lose power or not. We had 40-mile-an-hour winds. And Roy Strom, obviously, was a key point for us because we weren't sure if they were going to come north of the track or south of the tracks and then get stuck in the flooding. But fortunately, they stayed north of the tracks for most of the day. But we evacuated Bear Rabbit. We evacuated Ray Graham facility. Took the Bear Rabbit folks to Iowa Community Center, so we closed the community center but opened it up as a shelter. Had it as a shelter most of the day till about 3 o'clock, and then we had to relocate those folks to DuPage County to a university, if I'm not correct. And but we fed them, and they took some naps, and it's something that we've never done before. That actually, we've opened it as a shelter before. We just had no one ever took advantage of it until this time, and it worked well. Actually, since we had 2 squad cars flooded, we actually took the Parks and Rec van and carried folks around and picked them up. And if I'm not mistaken, Chief Rakosnik, I think we took the boat out, and I think we have pictures of that. I don't remember the last time we took the boat out. Yeah, so nice job. You talk about a team, and then the Board of Trustees, and Tom and I were communicating. I think Trustee Bullwinkle was driving around. I know Trustee Davis was helping us. Bob Wagner was on hand, willing to help. I think I talked to Trustee Baltus once, Trustee Case once that day. Appreciate everything. I know a lot of us got tired near the afternoon and evening, but once we started getting the compliments via email about the press releases and all the good information, made it well worthwhile. We did have couple of issues over at Wildwood for draining, and Addison and Madison was a situation that we don't want to repeat, but 9.35 inches in 24 hours is a lot of flooding, a lot of rainfall, which created the flooding, but our staff did well. I just can't say enough, so thank you, Your Honor, and I'm sure that Director Giskelis would like to add some things. Well, I'm sure he does, Your Honor.
Thank you. Well, after the EOC shut down on Friday, we continued with store and cleanup on Saturday and Sunday. As you mentioned, Roy Strom's units were out. Our crews were out all weekend long, cleaning inlets. The street sweeper was out. And we thought we were going to be transitioning over to recovery mode, which would be debris cleanup. But there's another rain event forecast for tomorrow night. So this morning we remobilized. We went back into our areas to check all the drains, to try and get them clean, get the street sweeper back out. Residents, we urge you to, if you can, get out there, take a look at your drain, make sure it's open. If you can clean it, please do so. If not, then call us so that we're ready for this next drain event. They're predicting up to an inch, which we should be okay, but I would rather be safe than sorry, so we want to get all the drains open. Beyond that, right now the focus is on damage assessment. We were notified by DuPage County today that the damages, preliminary damage assessments are due Wednesday at noon. So we're going to be scrambling over the next couple of days to compile our estimates of all the damage. There's two different segments of damage that we have to report. There's the what they call the individual assistance, which is damage to private property. Patrick and his crew are going to be assembling that information, and then we're going to put it in spreadsheets and set it off. Then on the other side is the public assistance, which is damage to public property and any cost associated with the emergency response. So Public Works will be gathering that information. All that's sent off to the county. They assemble it from each municipality. They send it off to the state. They assemble it from each county, set up to the federal government. And if the damages are high enough, and I believe the threshold for DuPage is 3 million.
3.17.
For the state, it's 52 million in damages. We have to reach those thresholds in order to get the federal declaration. If we get the federal declaration, then there will be federal dollars available to both individuals and to the municipalities for reimbursement. So getting as accurate as possible a damage assessment is the key over the next 48 hours. Once we get that done, and assuming we don't have another event that causes a response, then we're going to transition into recovery mode. We have a lot of information, a lot of service requests that we have to compile and try and sort through exactly, what happened in every location. In some cases, it could have been sewer surcharging, could have been overland flooding, it could have been floodplains. One thing I do want to say is the rain came basically in 3 waves. The first wave came on the 17th, about 2:15 p.m. We had 0.68 inches in 30 minutes. And over about 75 minutes, we had 1.5 inches of rain. So we had flash flooded streets from that event. The creeks flashed up, and about a few hours later, everything went down. The second wave hit about 2 a.m., as Manager Keener mentioned, it woke him up, on the following morning. We had over 2 inches of rain in 60 minutes in the second flash event. So that's probably the one that flooded most of the backyards, all the low-lying areas. It overloaded the creeks, it overloaded our sewers. So that's what everybody woke up to Saturday morning. And then the third wave came at 6:30 a.m., and that was a 3/4 inch rainfall in 15 minutes. So if you can picture how the rain came, that accounted for a lot of the flash flooding, is the 3 waves. If it had been spread out over the entire 24 hours evenly, it wouldn't have been half as bad. But having said that, I think the Elmhurst Quarry made a big difference. If anybody was around back in 1987, this rain, I think, was actually higher. It was about 1/2 inches more than the 2008 rain, looking at historical records. So, I mean, the damage was significant, and, there's going to be a lot of follow-up to try and figure out what we can do to mitigate future events. But all in all, I think the system, both the storm and the sanitary, recovered much more quickly than we did in past events. The sewers that were surcharged completely, in the past, would have been surcharged for 3 or 4 days. They were down in less than 24 hours. So it's a positive sign. We're going to continue to identify ways to mitigate the impact of these storms. I know we can't protect from every storm, but what we can do is to try and minimize the damage and maximize the protection. So that'll be in the upcoming months.
I'd like to add 1 or 2 more things. Your Honor and Board, we worked together with District 88 and District 45 also to go out into the community in those early morning hours and then tell the school administrators, what the condition of the streets were. And eventually, as a result of the overland flooding, et cetera, school was canceled throughout our area. In fact, I personally went over to Jackson, and there's just no way they could have parked or anything of that nature. So just wanted to add that, Your Honor. Thank you.
You want to go on, or do we want to do it at our public comment section? Because I'm
Actually,
sure we're going to have lots of questions from the public.
Well, I just want to
and-
mention something really quick.
Okay.
There's paperwork on the website, and Vetus, I'm sorry if I missed this when you were talking. Paperwork on the website that residents can fill out
Manager Keener, do you want to go into a little more detail about that?
Yeah,
That paperwork's really important.
the paperwork on the website is individual assessments, and those individual assessments are really for the homeowners to print off the forms. The instructions are there for you to take assessments of your private property, what was damaged. I urge you to take photos, photos of where the watermarks are, so we can use that in future planning. But fill out the individual assessments and get them back to us no later than Wednesday morning, so we can turn them into DuPage County and probably eventually FEMA. And then I think Your Honor, Director Giskelis wants to add something.
One more thing I forgot to add. I know there's been a lot of questions about check valves or other items to prevent sewer backups. Last month, the village board approved reintroducing our assistance program for sewer repairs and check valves. So that goes back into effect May 1st. The village will offer up to $1,000 reimbursement towards the cost of installing it. I have application forms back here, and I even have a sample check valve if anybody wants to take a look.
With that, we will go to item 10, consider a resolution adopting the Village of Villa Park amended fund balance net position policy. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. On the recommendation of the village's auditors, Lauterbach and Amon LLC, the fund balance policy has been revised, updated to reflect the new terminology as required in Governmental Accounting Standards Board, GASB, in other words, statements 65 and 63 respectively. Therefore, staff is requesting that the fund balance net position policy be approved by the board, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Colleton?
And then we'll move to the formal. Item 11, consider a resolution authorizing agreements with benefit providers. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, it's time for the health insurance, et cetera, agreements. So agreements with the village's health, dental, vision, life, flexible benefit administrators, and employee assistant providers will expire on June 30th, 2013. It is necessary to consider renewals with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois for employee and retiree health insurance for a total cost of $2,519,451, of which the village's share is $1,766,327, and Fort Dearborn Life for a total cost of $10,030, of which the village's cost is $9,127. It is also necessary to consider renewals for Delta Dental Plan of Illinois for a total cost of $114,001, of which the village's share is $40,529. Vision Service Plan, VSP, for a total cost of $33,374, of which the village's share is $16,783. Elmhurst Hospital Guidance Center for a total cost of $5,060, of which the village's share is $3,887. And Ceridian for a flexible benefit administration of $1,834. The fiscal year 2014 budget provides funding for these benefits, Your Honor, and I believe this is the second year in a row that Blue Cross Blue Shield has not increased our life insurance. It stayed status quo. This is the second year in a row. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 12, consider a resolution to approve amendments to amended and restated articles of agreement, Northeast DuPage Special Recreation Association. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. For the past year, board members of the Northeast DuPage Special Recreation Association, otherwise known as NESDRA, have been working on revising an outdated articles of agreement. Parts of 6 articles were in need of some form of revision. Significant changes to the revised articles include the inclusion of the NESDRA staff into Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, IMRF, and establishment of a new funding formula for member agencies' annual contribution to NESDRA's operating budget. The NESDRA board recommends that its member partner boards adopt the revised agreement. And Your Honor, with this agreement, part of the proposal is that when the NESDRA staff go into IMRF, funds that were used for the retirement within NESDRA board's budget will be refunded to the village and other members over a 3-year period. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the public? Questions or comments for the board? Consensus to move this to the formal?
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 13, consider resolution for maintenance of streets and highways by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village will receive approximately $527,500 in motor fuel taxes, otherwise known as MFT, by allotment from the state of Illinois during fiscal year 2013-2014. This is money derived from the state gasoline tax. It is proposed that the MFT funds be transferred to the corporate fund to support street operations as allowed by state law. A resolution is required before the MFT funds can be used in this manner. And Your Honor and Board, this is an annual resolution that we do every year for the movement of the MFT funds into the corporate fund. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for the board? Or, pardon me, for the public?
Hi, Scott Shepherd, 235 North Michigan Avenue. Do we have a street fund that this can go into? Why does it always go into the corporate fund?
Manager Keener.
We do several things with the funds. That supports the corporate fund by supporting, I believe, the purchase of, say, salt, the supporting of salaries to plow the roads and things of that nature. Director Giskelis, would you like to add anything to that? Okay.
Well, we never have enough money in the fund for the streets. I was just wondering, why don't they transfer a portion of that just for street maintenance? You guys do the, what is that ceiling that you do every couple of years, and reconstruction, resurfacing? Why doesn't it go into that?
Well, that, I think, is predicted to be about $90,000 this year. By moving the MFT funds, that supports the street folks. If we didn't use the MFT fund, then the corporate fund would be short, and then we'd have to increase property taxes to support our ongoing operations.
If you're home rule, you can increase property tax, so.
We're working on that.
Right. All right, thanks.
Not to put you on the spot, boss.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Anyone from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 14, consider amendment to local agency agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, for funding of the Roosevelt Road Sidewalk Improvement Project. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. A grant from the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program, CMAQ, provided 80% federal funding for engineering and construction of new sidewalks on Roosevelt Road west of Ardmore Avenue. Amendment number 1 to a previous agreement with IDOT, which is the Illinois Department of Transportation, authorizes the use of CMAQ funds for additional Phase 3 construction engineering services. The additional costs resulted from several project delays that were beyond the contractor's control. Thank you, Your Honor.
Right there.
The total construction amounts have also been revised to reflect construction costs. The original agreement was executed by IDOT on January 5th, 2012, prior to start of construction.
Thank you, Manager Keener. Anyone from the public wish to speak on item 14? Anyone from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia? Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 15, consider agreement with Baxter Woodman Engineers for Phase 1 design of the North Side Sidewalk Project. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has secured 75% surface transportation program, otherwise known as SPT, funding for the construction of sidewalks in portions of the village north of North Avenue. Phase 1 engineering is to be funded locally through the North Avenue TIS District. After reviewing multiple submittals and conducting interviews of 2 firms, Village staff has selected Baxter and Woodman to provide Phase 1 engineering services at a cost not to exceed $49,000. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anyone from the public wish to speak on item 15? Seeing no one, anyone from the board, questions or comments? Consensus?
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 16, advance to bill listings A through D. Anyone like to speak from the public? Questions from the board? Consensus?
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes, we will now move on to the formal agenda. Item 1 on the formal agenda is Village President's Report. I only have one update. This Saturday, if you or your group of scouts, garden club, anything, Little League team would like something to do, Saturday at 9 a.m. is the Prairie Path cleanup. It will include the Prairie Path and the Great Western Trail. We would love to have you come out, bring yourself some gloves and some long sleeve, and a long sleeve shirt and long pants. We will have garbage bags out there. As you clean up, we will have the garbage bags left on the side, and the village will be picking up. This is a DuPage County effort, so it'll be all along the Prairie Path. And truthfully, I think our Prairie Path is about the nicest you can get throughout DuPage County. If you ever take a bicycle up from the start of the Prairie Path all the way through, all the way out to Aurora, I think you'll find ours is probably the best maintained, the nicest, the cleanest, and it's through community efforts like this. So we will leave it at that. Item number 2 is public comments on agenda items. So we go, if you have an agenda, if not, they're up there. Item 3 through 13, if you would like to speak on any one of those items, item 3 through 13, now would be your time to come up. And if you could keep to 3 minutes. And if you want to speak on something that wasn't on the agenda, that will be item number 17. All right, item 2, public comments on agenda items.
On number 7, the electrical aggregation, are we gonna find out what the bids are? We're not gonna find out any of that prior to you signing an agreement? So we won't have the opportunity to opt out if we don't like it?
What's going to take place tonight is that the board will consider the ordinance and consider the plan of governance. Inside the plan of governance, there are certain stipulations that the suppliers will have to meet. So after tonight, the resolution or the ordinance will be approved, hopefully, plan of governance, and then with NYMEX help in the next few days, we'll develop the RFP, go out for the RFP, and with a short period of time, hopefully, we'll have the list of potential suppliers, and then we'll select probably, obviously, the lowest bidder.
I mean, will the public know what those bids are? Will they be
Absolutely.
posted?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then when you choose one, at that time, we have the opportunity to opt out, right?
You have multiple opportunities to opt out. You have either a 14-day or 21-day period after we select a supplier, and then the supplier will send you another letter, and you'll have another chance to opt out.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Bob Wagner, 114 West Monroe, also on item 7. Just a question, and I can sit down and wait for the answer. There was an article in Cranes about how ComEd's rates have dropped dramatically, and also in the Tribune. I just want to know how that will affect the bidding process. And secondly, just wanted to know, is there going to be any opportunity for the public to provide input, on the bid process, or, how the bid will be structured? Will there be any opportunity for us to comment on that?
Thank you, Your Honor. The bid process, I believe, is going to be very straightforward. Used hand in hand with the plan of governance, which I think we've passed out and put on the website many times. However, we do have a couple of changes in the plan of governance suggested by our consultant, NIMEC. One of the changes is for the 21-day opt-out period to be reduced to a 14, so that we can quickly get the RFPs out, quickly get the bids returned to us. And the quicker that happens, the quicker we can get online with the savings. If we don't, it'll be probably closer to September before we get online. Bob, what was your first question?
About ComEd and reducing rates.
Okay, when we go out for bid, I believe that if the bids do not come under ComEd's, I think ComEd's right now, the latest bid is 5.5 per kilowatt hour on the short-term contracts. So if the bids don't come under 5.5, then why would we accept them? We'd just reject them and stay with ComEd. But by chance, if it comes under 4.6, 4.4 per kilowatt hour, then obviously we have some wiggle room and some savings, and we'd probably accept that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to speak on the agenda? Seeing none, we will go to the consent agenda. A, minutes from village board meeting for April 8th, 2013. B, minutes from village COW for April 8th, 2013. C, minutes from the public hearing on April 8th, 2013. D, approved bill listing dated April 22nd, 2013, one of two, in the amount of $741,544.62. E, approved bill listing dated April 22nd, 2013, two of two, in the amount of $275,305.69. Can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello,
move to approve the consent agenda.
can I have a second?
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolthus,
Second.
questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis,
Abstain?
trustee Aiello,
Yes.
trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
President Colleton.
Yes. Item 4, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, accepting a plat of easement for stormwater management purposes at 33 South Villa Avenue, Villa Medical Arts. Certain stormwater improvements have been constructed as part of a development at 33 South Villa Avenue. The DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance requires all major and minor stormwater systems to be located within easements. The necessary legal documents have been prepared and signed by the property owner, and acceptance of the easements by the village is required before it can be recorded. Can I have a motion for the first and final?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis?
make a motion.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello?
second.
Questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bullwinkle?
this might be a question for Manager Keener. Why is this the first and final?
Trustee Blanca, what we're doing is we're putting a number of items on this evening's agenda so that it clears up May 13th, because May 13th will be the swearing in and changing of the guard, if you will, and it'll be a very condensed meeting, probably 20 minutes or so. And we have so tonight we have a lot of first and finals, and if I'm not mistaken, that's already been through the committee of the whole, and it's an important economic development within the village, so we kind of rushed it along.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Aiello,
Yes.
trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia.
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
Trustee Davis.
Yes.
President Colleton.
Yes. First and final reading of an ordinance adding a stop intersection, Riverside Drive and Park Boulevard, and designating a one-way street Ridge Road. The Montessori School, located at 706 East Park Boulevard, requested an installation of a stop sign at the intersection of Park Boulevard and Riverside Drive to improve safety. To improve traffic issues at the North School, located at 150 West Sunset Drive, it has been suggested making Ridge Road between Yale and Princeton Avenue a one-way street on school days between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President?
Trustee Bolfus?
On the one-way street over at North School, is there another street there that's one-way, and is that gonna stay one-way?
Yes, trustee, Harvard, I think it's Harvard on the west side of the school has already got the same one-way restriction in the opposite direction.
Okay.
So there's no change to the effect of that street.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote, please.
Need a motion?
Did somebody else have? Oh, I need a motion on the
Mr.
first and
President.
final. Trustee Aiello,
Move for the first and final reading.
can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bullwinkle,
second the motion.
any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 6, first and final reading of an ordinance adopting an annual budget for all corporate purposes in lieu of an annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year commencing on May 2013 and ending on April 30th, 2014. The draft FY 13-14 budget is presented to the village board for consideration. The proposed budget projects a 107-day fund balance in the corporate fund and positive fund balances in all other funds at the end of FY 14-15. Can I have a motion? No. This also includes the capital improvement program for FY 2013-14. Can I have a motion on the first and final?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia,
move for the first and final.
can I have a second, please?
Mr. President.
Trustee Davis,
Second that.
questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
when was the last time we had a 107-day fund balance at the end projected? It's been a while.
I don't know, Al's older
I
than all
don't
of
remember.
us.
That's what I'm saying. This is really, you know, is a good number. You're right. So, we haven't seen 107 days or 100 days for a number of years, so.
It's a
great.
very,
Good work.
it's a very good number. It's a testament to our manager and all of our staff, coming together to create great things in their departments. And hopefully, moving forward in the future, we continue on these balances as well. Yeah, any other questions, any other comments? I mean, you're gonna say you did.
No, no, it's not me. I'm just blessed to have a talented staff and a talented board, so.
See, that was good, that's what I said.
Yeah. Very good.
All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. First and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing aggregation of electric load and adopting an electric aggregation plan of operation and governance. On April 9, 2013, a referendum passed in the Village of Villa Park, which authorized the village to negotiate for lower electric rates on behalf of the residents. Once this is approved, the village will then begin the bidding process to aggregate the electrical load for residents. By taking an entire village out to bid for lower rates, the resulting savings is significantly higher, and the rates much lower than rates residents can procure individually. A plan of operation and governance is required to be adopted by the village and will outline the electric aggregation process. Can I have a motion on the first and final?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis,
take a motion.
can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus,
second.
questions or comments from the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
when we go out with the proposal, at what point do we decide what our requirements are going to be? Let's just use an example of what percentage of the electricity will come from green energy. When is that decision made?
That's a very good question. In fact, within the plan of operation and governance for electric aggregation, it used to be on page 5. And I say used to be because it's one of the changes that we had to take a look at. And reviewing it, and in conjunction with Sharon Durling's recommendation, if we would have stayed within the plan previously where it required 60% non-coal, I believe, we would have had one bidder out of all the bidders that could possibly bid on it, thus reducing the competitive edge that we could have. So that was one of the ones, the changes that I alluded to this evening, besides the 14-day, 21-day change. But what I did is I subtracted it out of page 5 to increase the number of bids. However, I believe, and Sharon, correct me if I'm wrong, that the residents of Willow Park will have the opportunity on their ComEd bill to check a box to obtain green certificates.
Very
Or,
close to accurate on
Can you
there.
come to the microphone and
My name
give
is
your
Sharon
name? There we
Durling
go.
with the firm of NIMET. That's very close. Every eligible account to enroll in the program will receive an opt-out letter, this gentleman referenced earlier. And in that opt-out letter, they'd have the opportunity to select, to choose for themselves, to pay a slightly higher rate and receive 100% renewable energy credits for their own use. So that would be available for every resident in Villa Park.
and may I tag along on that? Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. One of the things that Sharon and I talked about was that if we left the 60% in there, that it would increase the entire cost just a little bit across the board for all the residents of Villa Park. Or if we took it out, possibly we'd get the rock bottom price below ComEd's, but then each individual household could check the box and do it that way. So we were kind of at an impasse at that procedure, but certainly if the board would direct me to put that back in there, I certainly would. And just as, make you aware that it may reduce our bidders down to one. And then the second change, Your Honor, would be on page 5 under 3, where under recommendation of NIMEC, we changed 21 days to 14 so that we can get the bids going and get the opt-out notices back quicker. And that is the only two changes that are recommended on this plan of operation and governance that's before the board this evening, Your Honor.
Where's the first change? What page?
Well, it's deleted out of section on
Oh,
page 5.
it's not here anymore.
It's not even there.
Okay. So if we go out for the bid, and I'm having a little trouble understanding how these people opt out with this green energy thing. Can you explain a little better, you know?
Yes. Well, there are a couple different things here. First, the reason there would only be one supplier, well, there's only one supplier of all eligible suppliers for bidding that has carbon production lower than that percentage that was established. So it would limit your bidders to just one. But there's, that's their actual production, and their actual production doesn't really change once you engage in a program, unless you set up a windmill in Villa Park and cut yourself off from the ComEd grid. So that's that, if that makes sense. But there's another possibility. There's something the village could mandate for all residents, or as you said, any resident could have the option to choose themselves. And what that is you'd pay a slight premium, about 1/10 of a penny per kilowatt hour, to purchase what is renewable energy certificates. Sounds a little bit, I'm gonna say like a shell game, but it's really not. So what that means is you're paying a little bit of a premium that supports actual renewable energy created somewhere else. Could be Texas windmills, could be hydro plant in Wisconsin, but you actually are supporting, because when this green energy is produced, official certificates, they're numbered, they're audited, they're tracked, you can buy those so you get credit for the amount of electricity you use. It's still, we're still getting it exactly the way we are today, but it's an option that you don't have through ComEd. Again, about 1/10 of a penny higher. So if your rate's 5.2, then it would go to 5.3. And to get those certificates, so you can be a green village. Two options, actually several options there, and I'll spell them out now. The village could mandate that everyone in the community gets that, so the rate for everyone would increase. And there are some other options. The village could choose that 25% of the usage is renewable, or 50%, or, well, let's start with 0, 25, 50%, or 100%. And I said the 100% would cost about 1/10 of a kilowatt hour more. if you wanted to, I'm just gonna pick Village of Orland Park. I think they were one of the few villages that opted to choose just a 25% renewable energy certificate to cover 25% of the usage for the village. So there are a couple options. I'll just say it again because I see a little bit of a furrowed brow. You can mandate no additional, and folks can choose it themselves, and it would be very clearly spelled out in the opt-out letter. Or you could choose everyone gets 25%, or 50%, or 100%. So those are kind of the two different things. And you could, kind of choose that at this time, because we know what the numbers are. So these are the mandate of the different percentages, or residents get to choose themselves. I've said that twice now. Does that make sense?
Now, is that all gonna be explained when they get the opt-out letter?
What will be explained when they get the opt-out letter is one of two things. The letter will say, here's the rate, X cents per kilowatt hour, and if you want to opt in for renewable energy credit for yourself, you'll opt in for a little higher. So that's the one option that they'll receive. And the other is they'll get a letter that will explain, here's your rate, and the letter will say, and the village contracted for, say, 25 or 50 or 100%. You would have to determine that. It's either folks can get 100% and they choose it, or you decide to mandate some percentage.
Now, when they get the question about to pay a little more to have more renewable energy, they get this certificate. What do I do with the certificate? I don't understand that.
You won't receive a certificate.
That's what I didn't think. But
That's a good question, very
what is
good
that doing?
question. Your supplier, that's why XYZ supplier would actually purchase those certificates. It's nothing that you have, you would just know that you're supporting renewable energy in a way that you weren't previously by comment. And let me back up and say, the law is that as of June 1st, we're all purchasing at least 8%. That happens to be Illinois law. So we're talking about an add-on to what's minimally required by law. You won't receive a certificate, but if the village says, hey, we want to see that this really happened, the supplier, would have
So
that.
our extra, that we'll be paying a little extra for, if we choose that, will be going for renewable energy sources, or setting up windmills or somewhere else.
Exactly.
Okay.
And couldn't say where, it could be a hydro plant in Pennsylvania, somewhere in, but we still receive the electrons the same way we're getting them today on the ComEd grid. You're getting credit for helping to support that industry. It's a premium you pay. Good questions.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
President Collerton.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Manager Keener, in
Yes.
regards to seeking out vendors that also provide credits or discounts for senior citizens, from what I understand, actually I learned from NIMAC, as a matter of fact, that there are vendors out there that do provide senior rates. Can we talk a little bit about that? And I'm hoping looking into that as part of our negotiation.
Thank you. We looked into that, and we found no vendor that would offer that. I did mention in earlier conversations that sometime in the past, Direct Energy did offer I'm not sure if it was 5% discount for senior citizens. They no longer offer it, and none of the other vendors will. So, yeah.
I wonder why.
So we asked,
Well, thanks for
Marketplace
looking into that
isn't
anyway.
offering it.
I learned that during our public hearings, that could be a possibility.
Yeah,
so-
we asked.
Well,
We didn't know until we.
Thanks for looking into it, though. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
No.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
President Collerton?
Yes, motion passes. Item 8, resolution adopting the Village of Villa Park amended fund balance net position policy. On the recommendation of the village's auditors, Lauterbach and Amann LLC, the fund balance policy has been revised, updated to reflect the new terminology as required in Government Accounting Standards Board, GASB, statements 63 and 65. Staff recommends that the President and Board of Trustee approve a resolution to adopt the fund balance net position policy. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia,
move for the resolution.
can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus.
second.
Questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 9, resolution authorizing agreements with benefit providers. Agreements with the village's health, dental, vision, life, flexible benefit administrators, and employee assistance providers will expire on June 30th, 2013. The FY 2014 budget provides funding for these benefits. Staff recommends the President and Board of Trustees approve a resolution authorizing new agreements. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello,
move to approve the resolution.
can I have a second, please?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
second.
Questions or comments for the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. Item 10, resolution to approve amendments to amended and restated Articles of Agreement, Northeast DuPage Special Recreation Association. For the past year, board members of the Northeast DuPage Special Recreation Association, NEDSRA, have been working on revising an outdated Articles of Agreement. Staff, in conjunction with the NEDSRA board, recommends that its member partner boards adopt the new revised agreement. Could I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis,
make a motion for the resolution.
can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Aiello?
seconded.
Questions or comments for the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
I would just like to say, I think this is great that Villa Park is part of this organization. And I'd like to thank NESRA for everything they do for residents of Villa Park and for the partner villages and park districts that are in it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
President Colleton?
And the motion passes. Item 11, resolution for maintenance of streets and highways by municipality under the Illinois Highway Code. It is proposed that the MFT funds be transferred to the corporate fund to support street operations as allowed by state law. Staff recommends that the President and Board of Trustees approve a resolution so the MFT funds can be used in this manner. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Taglia,
I'll move for the resolution.
can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
second.
Questions or comments for the board? Roll call vote.
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Motion passes. Item 12, resolution authorizing local agency amendment number 1 for federal participation between the Village of Villa Park and the State of Illinois Department of Transportation for congestion mitigation and air quality, CMAQ funding for the Phase 3 construction and construction engineering of the Roosevelt Road Sidewalk Improvement Project. A grant from the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program provided 80% federal funding for engineering and construction of new sidewalks on Roosevelt Road west of Ardmore. Staff recommends that the village president and board of trustees approve Amendment 1 between the village and CMAQ for the Roosevelt Road sidewalk improvement. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis.
make that motion.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus?
second.
Any questions or comments for the board?
Mr. President,
Trustee Davis?
when are we gonna be done with this? We've been talking about this since I've been on the board. Is it ever gonna be finished?
Manager Keenan?
Yes, it will be finished. Could turn it over to the director, Jessica Ellis.
Project that goes on forever.
I mean, as long as I've been on here, we could have gone from West Chicago all the way through. How much longer do we have with this sidewalk program?
Sidewalk program, this is Roosevelt Road
Oh,
sidewalks.
yeah,
Construction's
I'm talking
completed.
Oh, it is, okay. I've just been listening to it for 6 years now. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Bullfist?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Motion passes. Resolution authorizing engineering services agreement between the Village of Villa Park and Baxter Woodman Consulting Engineers for Phase 1 engineering services for the North Side Sidewalk Project. The village has secured 75% Surface Transportation Program, STP, funding for the construction of sidewalks in portions of the village north of North Avenue. After reviewing multiple submittals and conducting interviews of 2 firms, village staff has selected Baxter and Woodman to provide Phase 1 engineering services at a cost not to exceed $49,000. Can I have a motion on the resolution?
Mr. President,
Trustee Bolfus,
move for resolution.
can I have a second?
Mr. President?
Trustee Taglia,
Second.
questions or comments for the board?
Do you have any more sidewalk projects planned for the immediate future? So tired. I gotta do it. Can we make this, can we put an amendment to this one that says we won't do any more sidewalks until we fix our streets?
I don't think we can make that amendment, but that is a very good
I'll withdraw
opportunity,
it.
Trustee
I'll
Ayala.
withdraw the proposal.
Any other questions or comments for the board? Roll call, please.
Trustee Davis.
Yes?
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus.
Yes.
Trustee Taglia. Trustee Bullwinkle.
Yes.
President Culleton.
Yes, motion carries. Item 14, village clerk's report.
No report, thank you.
Unfinished business, none. New business, none. Item 17, public comments on non-agenda items. If you would like to speak for the public, please come up, state your name, and if you could keep it to 3 minutes.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak in front of you. My name is Matthew D'Alessandro, and I'm 16 years old. I'm a sophomore at Willowbrook High School and an Eagle Scout. I live on the 800 block of South Michigan Avenue, and I'm here to talk about redoing our street. First, it's a safety hazard. The street has a lot of potholes. Some areas of the street have no curbs or no more asphalt. We are a main way to get to Jackson Middle School with a lot of bus and school traffic. We have an annual block party, and there is increasingly less space to have our party due to the street's conditions. For these reasons and more, our street is a safety hazard. Now to the main part, flooding. When we have a big storm, just like the last one, our street always floods. This causes it to be blocked off. When the street floods, the water goes into the sanitary system and causes the sewers to back up. Then the whole block gets water and raw sewage in their basement. I can tell you firsthand that cleaning up the raw sewage is a nasty task. During the last storm, almost everyone on our block got more than 5 inches of water and sewage in their basement. We have flooded in 2006, 2008, 2010, and now 2013. My dad doesn't want to finish our basement because of this. I want to have a basement to hang out with my friends, but it would be a waste of money if it keeps flooding. Just one last thing to add. I want to be a meteorologist when I graduate. I just attended the Tom Skilling Weather Seminar. They stated that because of the shifting weather patterns, storms and floods like the last one are becoming more common, and they may happen now, every year or every 6 months or so in the spring or summer. Our sewers can't handle it, and they are too small. Therefore, our streets and sewers need to be redone. Thank you for your time. I also have a petition from our block.
Okay, Matthew, could you sign in, please, if
Sure.
you have a pen? The spelling of your last name, I need.
Electric aggregation already.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President and the Board of Trustees and everyone. My name is Thomas D'Alessandro. I'm block captain for our Block 840, which is 800 South Michigan. As my son was stating, our block is actually starting to be known now as Lake Michigan Avenue, and these are pictures.
Can we keep these, Tom?
Sure.
Thank you.
As I said, it's being called Lake Michigan Avenue. As my son stated, yes, we have now flooded multiple times now. And we've actually been in front of the board back in 2010 to try to come up with a solution on this. I want to work with the board here and to figure out what kind of solution we can come up with to resolve this flooding issue. I was also told that now this year, the south end of Michigan Avenue from Madison to the Prairie Path is going to be redone because they have partially separated but partially combined sewers. That area, unlike our block, does not, the streets do not flood. With our streets being a flood issue, it becomes a safety issue, number one, especially when you have manhole covers that get lifted up, and also when you have backyards that get more than 4 feet of water in the backbone. In 2010, we also gave the engineer, Rich Salerno, a couple diagrams of what we came up with solutions for this problem. And they also, at that time, I think between 10 residents between Michigan Avenue and Harvard that have the problem with the water, the 4 feet of water in the backyard. They were charged like a few $100s to come up with an engineer plan. This was 2 years ago, but nothing's ever been done on that. So what I would like to, propose is if the Michigan Avenue is going to be done between Madison and the Prairie Path, to please include one more block and to eliminate this problem. If for some reason that we cannot, do this situation of helping control the flooding issue of it, as the other gentleman said with the check valves, let's try to see if, if it's a cheaper cost to install the check valves so our properties are protected. That would be probably one of the better ideas then. I know, money is always an issue, but also the thing is for us residents, every couple years now to put out anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to redo our basements, it's old. And so, we're spending $5,000 to $10,000 in taxes a year alone. We can't afford this anymore, especially with the way the economy is, everything. We need to come up with a solution on this. But it has to be done now. It can't wait 2-3 more years because we can't afford it. Because otherwise, our property value has gone way down. We cannot sell our houses because nobody wants to move into them because they've been flooded. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tom.
My name is Sam Pasquale. I live at 307 South Myrtle. We have a few Myrtle residents here. You guys raise your hands. Every time it floods, and I like to say I flooded in 99, 06, 09, 2010, and this year. I have a full finished basement, and every time it's been raw sewage. Raw sewage, as you know, is very dirty. Viruses, people get sick. My wife has allergies, severe allergies to mold and mildew, so we have to do the full gut and, few feet up. I'd like to understand how, if our system is a CSO, I don't know who would have this information, or an SSO, which is a sanitary sewer overflow, or a combined sewer overflow. Because I did peek in all the storm sewers, and there is every storm sewer has a PVC pipe, which is an overflow that goes directly into our sewer. So as the street, it doesn't take much. If that cover is filled with water, just a few inches, we're getting backed up. So it doesn't take much for the storm sewer to fill up and shoot right into our sewer, which is, just 10 feet away. Anybody have an answer on which?
Well, Sam, I could probably have you come in with Vetus and however many residents from the block you want to come with, and Vetus and Rich can go through the plat of surveys and go through all the sewer systems with you. If you want to I can have Rich, don't give your phone number over the air,
No.
but before you leave, if you can give it to Vetus right back there, and he can schedule a time and we can go through our entire sewer system with you, especially how your block breaks down, if that would work.
And with the check valve, how does it prevent backflow stoppage? So if it backflows in, how is waste gonna flow back out if that check valve gets stuck? Is there a way to clean that up?
Actually, Vetus, since that is part of the new budget for this year, if you want to explain a backflow check valve, that would be great. And Sam?
Yes.
Make sure Vetus gets your phone number, okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Well, as far as the original question, we'll have to check the maps to see.
Right.
That's in the combined area, but it may have been separated. So I don't know if they're partially separated, totally separated, or not separated at all. So depending on what the situation is, then if they are not separated, it's combined sewers, and he's correct. When the streets get overloaded, because it's all connected, they can back up into individual homes. That's where the check valve or an overhead sewer can help out. It prevents the street flooding from backing up into your house. Now, of course, during that time then, you can't use your plumbing until everything goes down. That's the downside of having a check valve. If they are separated, then that means the street drainage is not backing up. That means the water's coming from somewhere else, probably infiltration inflow. They may have downspouts, they may have foundation drains, they may have something that was connected, because at the time it was all legal, it was a combined sewer. But now, because the storm is separated, the separation process is not completed. So the individual plumbing now has to be separated also, because basically your rainwater from your own house is going back into your basement or into your house. So that's why I&I is such, a bad thing, both in the combined and the separated areas, because when you get 9 inches of rain, you want it outside. You don't want it going in through your sewer system. So you need to disconnect all those and make sure it goes back outside. So I don't know which scenario is present here, maybe a combination of all of them, and that's why.
If you can make sure to get Sam's number and set up that appointment, that would be great, Vetus. And then and maybe I missed it, the explanation of the check valve?
The check valve.
So essentially, it's, if you could show.
Pretty cool. How does it work? This one is,
Isn't that what
what's different about this one is it's easy maintenance.
Okay.
Basically, there's a flapper in here. And it just comes right out. You wash it, put it right back in.
That goes in the front yard.
Of course, make sure you.
And that goes right in the front yard, Vetus?
Usually as close to the house as possible.
Okay. All right.
This is not, by far not the only model, it's just, these seem to be popular, and we happen to have a demo, so we brought it up here. But basically, the residents, should talk to their plumber and choose the one that's right for them.
And in the newest budget, we will have a possible reimbursement opportunities, correct?
Up to $1,000.
Up to
Okay.
1,000.
Thank you, Vetus, and if you can make sure. Ma'am, if you speak, you gotta come to the microphone.
The question was, how much does it cost? I think the unit itself is around $800.
Okay.
And it's probably another $800 for installation, unless somebody has the wherewithal to do it themselves. I suppose if there's some way we can buy these in bulk or make arrangements for that, we could probably get the price down.
All right, we'll start investigating it. Thank you, Vetus. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
I have two things. I feel their pain. Michigan Avenue, between Elm and St. Charles was waist high, was it? You were over there.
got wet.
Right. At one point, it was above the fire hydrants, and the fire hydrant's about that high. But all those people down there have sewer water in there. My neighbor 2 doors down had his backed up. His floor drains and everything are below ground in his basement, so everything shoots up through there. I'm lucky. I have no floor drains going into the floor in my basement, but the sewer water blew off my clean-out lids. And when I looked down there, it was only about 6 inches below the ground. So the water system actually came up my sewer to almost ground level. So, now I'm glad that I have a, clean outs in my front yard, because now my first floor of my house will never flood. It'll shoot out there instead. But, I mean, a lot of the old houses have underground sewer, and without a check valve, it's gonna continue to happen. But, the storm was so bad that we just had a backyard drainage system and a catch basin put in our backyard. It was a lake, it had nowhere to go, not even in the sanitary, not even in the storm sewer. Everything was, I've never seen it like that. It actually came off my street and flooded everything inside my garage. So,
I think Washington, even where they just did the engineering, where Lombard did the engineering on Washington, that they tried to help out that one subdivision just west of Addison Road, even that was underwater.
Right.
And that was, they just did the engineering in the last 12 months.
nothing can combat what we just
Right,
went through,
right.
so. But, the second thing is, so I feel your pain. I've been fighting for my street for 8 years, and the people down, they can't get separated down between Elm. They can only separate so far because we call it the bowl. They're so low that they can't even separate the sewer system by them, so the only way they've got is a $10,000 ever-ready flood control system or whatever. But, well, that's it on that. The next thing I wanted to congratulate the trustees that we'll be seeing for another 4 years on your election. And Bob Wagner for being elected to the board. He'll be serving again. He served for 2 years. And I'd like to congratulate Deborah Bullwinkle on her election to be our new village president. This election was quite disturbing, I guess you could say. We had this is the first time where we actually only you had basically two sides going against each other. Because our former police chief, when he was, I'll say forced into retirement, he went on a campaign to get supporters and take over the board on a power trip. He was basically on a campaign of revenge. That was the whole reason, and it didn't work. So I'd like to thank the residents of Villa Park for coming out in record numbers this year to not let that happen. I'm more confident in my fellow residents now and the town. I was quite worried. But what was disturbing was somebody seen me with a Bullwinkle button on and was disgusted by it. She said, "That woman destroyed this town." No one trustee in 4 years can destroy this town. One thing I've seen in the 8 years that I've actually started coming to boards and paying attention is things progressing. This board's done a lot of great things. Some of the trustees from the couple of years ago that are no longer with us, they've done great things. Everything is progressing. I look back years ago and blame them for streets like mine not getting done, things not getting done, and now this board and future boards are stuck with the problems that we're hearing today. So I want to thank you all for the work that you've been doing, and the past couple boards that I've seen for, nothing can change overnight. They rejected a referendum to borrow $50 million to do everything.
50, holy cow, no, it was
Whatever
not
it
50.
was.
It
Was it
not
30?
50. It was not 50.
Whatever it was, the residents said no. So now we gotta still continue to piecemeal and fix these problems. But I'd like to thank this board for everything you've done, the last board, and hopefully the new board coming in for, keep moving it in a positive direction, because it is. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on non-agenda items?
Good evening.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you come up here? I'm sorry, we need a microphone, and there's actually somebody up here, ma'am. Sure? Okay.
Hello, my name is Sandra Shelby, and I live at 252 South Myrtle, just on the same block that the gentleman just spoke here, lived on. As far as this check valve is concerned, I have been told I cannot have a sump pump due to the way the piping is, so that is something I cannot have. Now, this check valve, is that like the gate valve that they were talking about years ago? That if you put that in, it's possible the pressure that comes to it could explode and tear up your foundation in your basement.
That
Now,
I don't know.
I just was wondering if this would be like under the same what he was showing here. If there was enough pressure, would that blow up and you know, it would explode in the basement and crack your foundation?
Sharon, what I could do is the same gentleman who's gonna set up an appointment with him, he can run through the whole thing with you if you'd like.
Because I get this raw surge. I've had it 4 times already. We've redone our basement twice already. This last time, I lost the furnace, I lost my washer, my hot water tank was out, all my tile is wrecked. We redone the basement twice already, so now it's ruined again. I can't put the house up for sale. I'm stuck.
All right. Okay. Sharon, what we'll do is for all of the Myrtle residents, we'll set up a whole meeting with all of you. I mean, we could do it individually if you'd like as well, but we could set up a meeting. We'll do it in our conference room back here. We'll get all the maps out. We'll get all the check valves out for people to inspect. We'll have forms out here for going forward on after May 1st for the new budget. If you would like to apply for the check valve reimbursement, and we will set out everything for everybody on Myrtle to come and inspect and talk with the village board on, if that works for you.
Well, something, because I can't continue with this anymore like this, with this raw sewage. This went through the whole basement,
Yes, ma'am.
wrecked everything.
Well, Vetus and the manager will make sure to get, and if somebody wants to actually put a piece of paper there with Myrtle residents' phone numbers, whoever's here tonight, and then if you could be helpful to us, who is here tonight, to pass on to the rest of the residents on the street, that we'll find somebody who wants, Sam, would you like to be the sort of go-to? All right, we'll put Sam as the go-to. He can, we'll get some dates from him on when everybody can collectively come. And whoever's here tonight, make sure to put their phone number down and their address, and we'll make calls out to all of you individually. And then Sam, if you can get the neighbors that aren't here tonight, and instead of just taking you each individually and explaining, we'll do one big meeting. We'll do it in that committee of the whole room. We'll have the maps laid out for the area, plus we'll have everything towards Salt Creek that's laid out, and pretty much the whole village laid out as far as our entire sewer system. Let's do that.
Is this the same thing that was considered illegal years ago?
I have no idea,
Because there was
ma'am.
some kind of a valve that was considered that was illegal, and it was called the,
Diverter valve. I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay.
No, it is not the same thing. Thank you, Sharon.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
I want to thank the board. It's been a long evening for all of us, and I appreciate your time and your efforts. My name is Kathy Fry. I am a resident at 53 South Euclid Avenue, right on the corner of Wildwood and Euclid. I butt up against the Lions Field, and my husband and I have taken in water every year for the past 8 years since the park was renovated. We became very close friends with the prior village manager, Bob, and had a community, our street gathered with him. We talked about the routing of the water when they changed the park. But what's happened is with all the new buildings that have gone on, with the fact that you've graded that park so it goes towards our property, and you put in, a couple new lines that just added, to an exit point to the street that heads out to Villa, there's just not enough land for this water to go anywhere. So our yard is consistently, multiple times a year, being used as a retention pond. It's our yard and other residents on our block. There's a couple of us here today, and we'd love to have a meeting set up with the engineer. In fact, at one point in time, it was not, Vitas, who I met with, but it was a couple of other engineers that walked around the property, because I had actually filmed the water flow, and it comes off St. Charles and comes down on our street at the end of Wildwood. That's part of all of Wildwood down to 83. That's part of the problem. It comes off of the Wilderness Trail. The overflow comes onto Wildwood. There's just too much water. And since those townhouses were built and the Lincolnshire was built, it's just, there's all that land and whatnot is gone now. And it's just been getting worse over the last 8 years.
Kathy, do you want to be my point of contact to get your neighborhood together, and we could do the exact same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Be happy to.
And whoever's here tonight, make sure to put their phone numbers on, because we'll contact them. But anybody who's not here, who would like to be part of that scenario, please let them know that we'll be setting up a meeting for all of them to come and join us here. We'll do it in the committee of the whole room, and we'll go through all the areas around your neighborhood, areas close to, we're just gonna have pretty much every map set out for all of the plumbing throughout Villa Park.
Well, I've actually looked at some of those maps too with some of the village workers that come, because we do try to clean out, keep the streets clean, but all the mulch that's put down in the park, that whole line gets clogged up, and we can't do anything about that. It is in the pipes. And then there's even one pipe that is, when the installation occurred, it's right behind Gary's house, it's higher than the water level, so the water literally pools around this drain and doesn't go anywhere. Not that it had anywhere to go, just be more water that we dumped into our yard.
Gotcha.
But Gary's lived there for how many years, Gary? 40-some years? 79. So, and then there's other residents that have been there as long or maybe longer that, watch the development of the football, the baseball fields, or the basketball court and everything else. So, it's really gotten worse since the tot lot was taken out, and that whole sand, container that held all this water, you had a retention pond basically, and now that's gone. And now our yard and our neighbors' yards are it. And it's, we had over a foot of water. It actually came within inches of our foundation wall. Luckily, it just was seeping in, because we have fixed 8 cracks in our foundation because of all the water. It's just our garage floor is destroyed. It's just too much water. And our structure was not made to sit in, all this. And, the young man spoke very eloquently from Willowbrook. He's right. The earth is changing. We can't say that this is a superstorm. Yes, it was extreme, but it's happening more frequently. And what are we going to do for the next 10 years? How are we going to support the infrastructure that we need to prevent this from getting worse?
Right.
So,
All right.
thank you for
Thank
listening.
you, Kathy.
I don't have a pen.
Anyone else from the public to speak on non-agenda items?
My name is Charles S. Berg, commonly AKA known as Sid. I live at 1255 Wayside Drive in the beautiful garden village of Villa Park. I am a 60-year member of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and I would like to tell you all that we're back in business. As you know, we had a very smoky fire last May 29th. We're back in business. We have bingo every Tuesday night, and
if you're a bingo player, it's exciting. And we would invite people to come out. And on Friday, if there's anybody that remembers when Cedar Home was our caterer back 1,000,000 years ago, well, maybe not quite that far, but when they were, it was known as a very good cook, very good fish fry. Now, we're back in business with, people have told us, and I believe them because I've eaten, that it's even better. It's the best ever. And it runs from 5:30 to 8, and we would invite you to come out. Now, some of you have already been there, and we welcome you to come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Anyone else for the public on non-agenda items?
Mike Orlowski of Villa Park. As far as Michigan Avenue, you can add the 100 and 200 block of Michigan Avenue to the lakefront of Michigan Avenue, and we're even on a hill. Numerous residents every single year on our block continuously take water into their basement. One, I think he's about 3 to 4 feet every time we get rains like that. I know our street had an overlay, I'm pretty sure in 1964, which means the sewer systems are probably back from the 40s or 50s. Somewhere along the line, I know our 2 blocks are not on any 10-year plan, as far as I know. It needs to get fixed. I'm sick of dealing with water. And these 100-year rains, that's just a myth. It's just gonna keep raining. Other than that, the only thing I'd like to congratulate everybody in the election. Glad it's over. I would like to comment to one, I'd like an apology to the village residents on a comment that he put on his trustee page. That person knows who he is. To me, it's very disturbing. Whenever you have an election in a town, you always have more than one side. Those people on the other side belong to the village, and they also donate their time to the village. And to have the comment that was said, it's very inappropriate, it's childish, and should not be tolerated. And that's all I'm not making a big issue about it, but I want an apology to the village and the village residents. It's not fair. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else from public comments on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll go to village manager's report. And realistically, thank you very much for everybody speaking on the water issue. This is probably the third 100-year flood in the past probably 6 years. And I would hope that when this board, because we have already started with a consultant on a road referendum, that the residents will guaranteed jump on board and help. That is what is going to help us with moving forward with this town and moving to a lot more of these sewers and storms being separated. And I believe the manager is already working with a bond firm to talk about how we can move forward. Our Public Works Department is already working towards the plan on what streets are the priorities and where we will go from there. What I would also like is anybody who is at home who was not here tonight but would like to come is be part of any of the conversations that'll be going forward, to call the manager's office or to call Public Works, and we can tell you when those meetings are going forward so that you can be part of, whether it's the meeting with Kathy, whether it's a meeting with Sam, whether it's the meeting with any groups that want to come in and talk about what happened, where the overlay is, and how their flooding is occurring. Please feel free, come in. We'll be more than happy. I imagine Vitas and his staff will probably have that committee of the whole room up for the next week to go over moment by moment, where it's occurring, what's going on with it. I also would say give him at least a day, because if we get another inch of rain, I would prefer that he, or at least a week, because I would prefer that he and his staff are out there helping to mitigate some of the areas that could be coming up in the next 2 days. But I welcome everybody in the village. Please come by. We'll have the committee of the whole room set up, and we'll be able to work with any residents who comes by and show them what's going on. And with that, I'll go to the village manager's report. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a quick announcement for the board and for the residents of Villa Park that District 88 is putting together Feed My Starving Children mobile pack for the seniors of 2013. And really, it's really simple. On May 18th, 2013, on one day, they're going to have 500 volunteers at Willowbrook to pack 100,000 meals. So please volunteer, donate. That's May 18th, one day, 500 volunteers to pack 100,000 meals. It's kind of awesome. Contact person would be Dr. Scott Helton, 630-530-3980. It's a great project. I know I'll be helping as much as I can, and we'll feed over 100,000. I always give the board an update on recycling. For the month of March, we had 114 tons recycled. You know, to put that in perspective, we picked up 95 tons of trash Saturday alone. So we need some work in our recycling efforts. So please visit our website. You can see some of the things that can be recycled. It's an important. Want to update the board and the residents. The state of Illinois is just a little bit behind, but it's better. It's better. So probably on the average through some of our accounts, we're probably 2.5 months behind, about 1.9 million, but it's getting better. So with that,
You're It's getting better.
With that, Your Honor, I pass.
Thank you.
No report.
All right. We'll go Trustee Davis.
Thank you. Just want to reiterate what President Cullerton said about the Prairie Path cleanup this Saturday from 9 to 12. Starts off at the Historical Museum. So come on out, help clean up the paths. That's all.
9 o'clock, right, John?
From 9 to 12, yes, sir.
9 to 12, and bags will be provided, correct?
Bags will be provided. There will be drinks, I believe, water, not.
No drinks. Thank you. All right, Trustee Bullwinkle?
Thank you. I have a few things tonight. First, just want to say thank you to the residents. Some folks have already come forward and talked about the recent election. I want to thank the residents who believed enough in me to name me their next president. I'm looking forward to taking Tom's seat on May 13th, starting at 7:30. So thanks again for everybody's support. I do appreciate it. I'm very touched. I see some folks here in the audience that stopped by what turned out to be our victory celebration. So thank you for that. It's nice to see you. A couple other things, Manager Keener. In terms of the final budget, we're going to put that on the website. When will that be on the website, and where will it be? Make it easy for people to get to.
It's a good question. The new budget will be underneath the Finance Department, and it'll also be under Transparency. So you can click on the Transparency button, and it'll be there. Both will be linked for the Finance Transparency. The budget has not been sent to the printer yet, so there'll be hard copy shortly that'll be bound, but obviously for the internet, we'll just use a paper copy, so probably within a couple of days, we'll put it on the Transparency part.
And then you'll have an opportunity, or you'll have a copy at Village Hall, so people who don't have access to the web, they can come by and take a look, or if they have any questions as well. 'Cause not everybody has access to the internet, so.
That's correct. The library will have a copy, and we'll have a copy downstairs by the drinking fountain, hanging off the pegboard.
Okay. And also, I want to circle back to the flooding paperwork that we talked about a little earlier that's on the website. If you go to www.invillapark.com, for those of you who do have web access, you can click on, there's a program website link on that homepage that will get you to the paperwork, but can we put a link that actually says what the paperwork is right under headlines, so people don't have to dig around so far to find the paperwork?
You can take a look at that.
I was poking around, I had to go through a couple links. You can find it, but if we can put it right where people can find it, under the home page there. And then if you don't have web access too, you can come to Village Hall or give the village a call at 630-834-8500, and we'll make sure we get the paperwork to you. This will help with the village's efforts in flood recovery, and the more data that we collect, you know, the easier and better it is for us in terms of the disaster that we declared last week. So, and that is due, if anybody wants to fill out this paperwork, it's due by Wednesday, this coming Wednesday? Okay. All right, thank you for that. And then, while we're on the topic of rain, the village's Public Works Department actually has rain barrels for sale for anybody who might be interested. I happen to have two, and they're very full, obviously, right now. But for anybody who's interested in possibly purchasing a rain barrel through the village's program, I think they're $75 a piece, maybe a little less than that. But folks can get more information about the rain barrel program by calling our Public Works Department at 630-834-8505. We also used to have a couple rain barrels in the foyer area there, so I keep looking over at Vetus, so. All right, fabulous, so thank you for that, in case anybody's interested. And also, we have a prescription medication collection day coming up at the police department. It's on Saturday, April 27th, and we'll be there from 9 to 2 p.m., I believe, somewhere in that ballpark. Does that sound right? Okay, 10 to 2? All right. But if anybody has more information or needs more information about that, we do this about twice a year, so it's a nice service that we have available to the residents. And you can drop off any old medications that you have. Don't flush it down the toilet. We don't want that ending up in our water supply. But anybody else who has any or wants more information about the collection program coming up this Saturday, April 27th, you can contact Villa Park Police Officer Kevin Connor, who is here tonight receiving an award, at 630-834-7447. And then we also, looks like this might be my last announcement here, the Villa Park Men's Garden Club, they have their plant sale coming up on Friday, May 10th and Saturday, May 11th. Both days from 9 to 3 and until plants, supplies last. You can stop by at their location at 320 East Kenilworth in Villa Park and pick up plants for the spring planting season. There's a coupon on their website, so they're giving away some promotional coupons to help you with the cost there. If you'd like more information about that, contact go to the website, www.homegardening.org. Again, for those who don't have web access, you can call me, 630-834-5032, and I'll make sure I get you in contact with some folks affiliated with the Men's Garden Club. So I think that's it for now. Oh, actually, yes, I have one more thing. Manager Keener?
Yes.
The lift station on Route 83, we talked about this during the budget process, and it's hanging on by a thread. I wondered how it performed during the storm event. I drove by it a few times and it looked like it was holding up, but isn't that the one that's kind of sort of chugging along barely? The lift station on 83?
It chugged along.
Yeah, did it do okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but I hope that it's still okay. Is it?
Yes.
So
It did.
far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll keep an eye on that too, because we don't want that pooping out. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Ayala?
Nothing, thank you.
Trustee Taglia?
Yes, I have a couple things tonight. Just want to announce that the Villa Park Masonic Lodge is continuing to hold a food drive. All food collected will be donated to Villa Park's food pantry at the Disciple Church. There are 3 drop-off locations in the village. One is at the Villa Park Community Recreation Building by Lions Park on Wildwood. Also, the DuPage Animal Hospital, which is on 377 East North Avenue in Villa Park. Also, over at Tony's Barber Shop on Villa Avenue next to the 7-Eleven. So if you would like to help in this economy, a lot of people are hungry. So any non-perishable food items are greatly appreciated. Those are 3 drop-off centers that are local in town. And then ultimately, the food drive will wrap up on May 19th at the DuPage County Fairgrounds at the Scott Smith All Animal Expo, which will be on May 19th from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. So if you want to go to the All Animal Expo, there'll also be collecting food there for the needy. Also, I want to make a comment about the election. It was a very contentious election. It was very stressful. At times, things got pretty nasty. And as Mr. Orlowski said, it's never appropriate to respond in kind. And I would like to apologize to the village and to Mr. Orlowski and anyone else. It is always inappropriate to respond to negative comments and profanity. So I apologize for that, and definitely won't be happening again. So that's all.
Thank you, Trustee Taglia. Trustee Bolfus?
I have nothing new to add. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we will go to item 21, consider executive session, RE5, ILCS, C1, personnel matters and collective bargaining, 5, ILCS 120/2, C5, litigation, 5, ILCS 120/2, C11, purchase or lease of real property for the public body, and 5, ILCS 120/2, C28, meetings between internal or external auditors and governmental audit committees, finance committees, and their equivalents. Can I have a motion on item 21?
Mr. President,
Trustee Ayala.
move to consider executive session.
Can I have a second?
Mr. President.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Trustee Ayala?
Yes.
Trustee Bolfus?
Yes.
Trustee Taglia?
No.
Trustee Bullwinkle?
Yes.
Trustee Davis?
Yes.
President Colleton?
Yes. And item 22 is tabled until after executive session. So item 22 will be voted on when we come out of executive session. And then after that, we will adjourn. So we now adjourn to executive session, correct? Correct. Let's go. So I can't hammer the gavel yet because the meeting's not done. Dude, I'm going to the bathroom too.